Alright, and good afternoon, everyone. SpenVentures here, live at the Hillsborough River State Park. Hillsborough River State Park, here just outside of Zephyr Hills, Florida. And this park was reservated and take a trip back in time to the Seminole Wars. I've done a lot of videos about the Seminole Wars, first, second, and third Seminole War throughout the state of Florida. And here is another one of the historical sites from the Seminole tribes. As we start from 1934 to 1930 to look right away, just of the how this Civilian Conservation Corporation, CCC of the United States, how it came about. These are just the different pictures of how this park developed. Hillsborough River State Park. How it developed over a span of 40 years and was constructed. It was the Civilian Conservation Corporation Company, 1428, constructed the suspension bridge, picnic pavilions, and the visitor center. So we'll need to go take a look at the suspension bridge as well. But from 1934 to 1938, the CCC enrollees began the development of the Hillsborough River State Park under the supervision of the National Park Service. The site was chosen for the park because its location of Florida's only Class 2 rapids. The rapids can be seen a short distance from parking lot 2. When possible, the original structures were built in native materials such as cypress, pine, and limestone. Many of the structures can be seen in the pictures at the bottom. Pavilion 9 used cypress stumps for support columns, be reached from parking lot 3, and the swimming hole was replaced by modern swimming pool accessible parking lot 4. So there's a swimming pool here on the state grounds. And as we move on forward, let's see if we can go inside this building here. Seminole War, 1835 to 1842. Bloody conflict. The antagonist, which is like an antagonist means the opponent, the opposite of what you are. It was long-standing grievances and ill will between Americans and the Indians of Florida. Americans streamed into this new land, and northern Florida soon supported thriving frontier towns, prosperous plantation economy. The area of American settlement expanded. However, red men and whites clashed more often and more violently over the Seminole lands and hunting grounds between 1823 and 1833. So for 10 years, the battle raged on as the United States attempted to solve a growing problem between its citizens and the Seminoles by negotiating 3 treaties. First created a Central Florida reservation for the Indians. Many Seminoles could not accept the reservation. The second and third treaties called for voluntary removal of all Indians from Florida to Arkansas. Most Seminoles were unwilling to leave, but when various Indian bands were told in 1834 they must be gone by 1836, they united in opposing the demand. In December of 1835, a war broke out between the Seminoles and the United States, thus beginning the bloody and costly conflict known as the Second Seminole War. Here we have the U.S. Army Renegade Brigade in the winter uniform of 10,169 men in the United States Army, Navy, and Marine Corps who served in the Second Seminole War. 1,466 died in combat or of war-related causes. 30,000 volunteer soldiers, 55 are known to have been killed in action. There you go. The Americans enjoyed a superiority in firepower. Gunboats cruised the coast and inland waters. Military posted artillery, wheeled cannons, or howitzers, accompanying overlay expeditions. The guns were heavy and cumbersome, but effective against the Seminoles, with flintlock muskets, carbine rifles. Groups of disciplined American soldiers could outshoot their Seminole enemies. A bayonet served the soldier in close combat. All right, so we're going to move on from this gentleman, young soldier here, and the Seminole, as we move on toward the Second Seminole War timetable. These are just all the dates of the Second Seminole War. Osceola was killed. Chief Osceola was killed. Wiley Thompson and 4 other at Fort King took Thompson's scalp. Ugh. And then in Fort Alabama, 1836 on March 20th. Fort Alabama was attacked on March 27th by the Seminoles. Fort Alabama and Fort Cooper were attacked by the Seminoles in April of 1836. On January 31st, Chief Osceola died in prison at Fort Moultrie, South Carolina, where he had been sent from Fort Marion. And then in June of 1838, Seminoles burned Fort Dade on the Withlacoochee River. Battle of Canepia Prairie was fought near Alachua, Savannah, Payne's Prairie. All right, and then November of 1843, General William Jenkins Worth reported that only 300 Seminoles under Chief Bowlegs remained in Florida. They were permitted to stay on reservations south of Peace Creek, or the Peace River. And then here's just a map of the different forts or posts throughout the state of Florida. And this is the map legend, which is like American forts and posts, Fort Brooke to Fort King Military Road, railroads as well. And you can see Fort Dade, which I've been to actually, Fort Armstrong, Fort McClure. There's Fort King, I've been there. Indian Agency headquarters. Osceola was killed and scalped at Fort King. Fort Hooks, Fort Fanning, Fort Downing, Fort Frank Brooke, Fort White, Alligator, or Lake City, a fort, all the way up in Jacksonville. They have Fernandina. There's Jacksonville right there, actually. And Mandarin, Fort Hillman, Fort Van Cortlandt. So you head down the East Coast. You have a lot of battles. Battle of Dunwalton Plantation, King Philip, New Smyrna, where there was a couple of historic sites. New Smyrna Sugar Mill Ruined State Historic Site. There's one, there's St. Augustine. One actually down through here. There's one in near Palm Coast, where I'm going tomorrow. Fort Christmas, I've been there. That's in Orlando, just outside of Orlando. Fort McNeil, Fort Taylor, Fort Bessemer, Fort Lloyd, Fort Van Swearingen, Fort Center, Fort Thompson, Fort T.B. Adams, Fort Denode, trading post, and also a battle down here. Indian warriors led by chiefs Chukika and Hospitarch attacked reservation trading post, Lieutenant Colonel Harney's detachment, and Camp Foster. That's Camp Foster. That's not where we're at. Fort Keyes, Billy Bowleg's Landing, Prophet's Landing, Prophet's Island, Sam Jones Island, Alligator Island. It's just all the different forts, battles, railroads through here. There's some railroads. You might be able to look real close. There were some of the railroads. Like a lot around this area. There were a lot of railroad tracks. Not more so along the coast, of course, because that was where, like, the boats would come in in the Gulf, and then of course in the Atlantic. But stuff here as the battle rages on and strategies are being formed. Seminole Warriors shown attacking the blockhouse from 1836. Beginning in 1840, Lieutenant Colonel William S. Harney and others adopted the Seminoles' own lifestyle of warfare. Companies of soldiers, sometimes dressed and painted as Indians, ferreted out and destroyed hidden Seminole camps, captured or killed many Indians. And of course, you got Colonel William Jenkins. U.S. forces in Florida early in 1841. Unlike his predecessors, Worth did not withdraw his men from active duty during the sickly season of summer. Instead, he drove them hard in relentless pursuit of the Indians into the most remote areas on August 14th of 1842. Worth declared the Second Seminole War ended, while armies continued to seek out isolated groups of Seminoles and offered rewards, $300 for captured chiefs and $100 for warriors. Those surviving Seminoles quietly retreated into South Florida wilds. There they lived unmolested until the area of white settlement reached their homes. Of course, you see Zachary Taylor. That's Lake Okeechobee, the Battle of Okeechobee, and I've also been there. Did a video on that one. And there's the Battle of Okeechobee picture. And then, like I said, they came on warships. And then these are just some of the items that were that throughout as the battle raged on, they had supplies and different tools to use to make things, especially to cut like pieces of fruit or pieces of animal skin all throughout. And of course, these are building utensils: iron spikes and nails, padlocks, burned bridge from the Hillsborough River, some fastened pin. Of course, today's visitors to the hills can see the reconstruction. They can see the reconstruction of Fort Foster on its original site. Probably appeared in 1837 to 1838. Then there's another Fort Mellon, Lake Monroe, Upper St. Johns River, that's near Jacksonville. Originally established 1824, Fort Brooke on Tampa Bay was one of the largest important Florida forts during the Second Seminole War. For most of the war, it served as American military headquarters and was principal military supply center. Captured, surrendered Seminoles were held at Fort Brooke and shipped to the west from Tampa Bay. The city of Tampa grew up around Fort Brooke. There's the two views of Fort Brooke. All right, and then just some of the uniform. This is helping restore the Fort Foster historic site. They need some help. And of course, here's the military uniform they would have. The U.S. would wear while fighting in the different battles of the Seminole Wars. All right, so just up ahead is looks like a log. It's not a log cabin. It's more of a small adobe house, and we're going to take a look at this and see what this house was used for and what came about of this house. And like I said, who lived here and what it was used for. Civilian Conservation Corps. A dark time here. Struggling economy, millions unemployed, and war on the horizon. This was the world of Great Depression. President Franklin D. Roosevelt founded the Civilian Conservation Corporation in 1933, provide jobs for young men and economic relief for their families, while also protecting the nation's lands. From the CCC's founding until World War II, young men across the country built foundation for what, in many cases, become our state parks and forests. They finally had a chance at work. Men from all walks of life joined the CCC, recruiting unmarried men between the ages of 18 and 25. The CCC paid workers $30 a month, provided military-style living conditions. Black, white, and Seminole men all joined the CCC in Florida. Through the state's camps where segregated recruits worked the long hours, building facilities, restoring forests, and paved roads due to the widespread of unemployment, private property. Many were eager for the wages and stability that the CCC provided. A park service is born. The Florida Caverns State Park, these are just some of the state parks throughout the state. Some of them, not all of them. Florida Park Service, traced original to the Civilian Conservation Corporation. Our first 8 state parks were built by the CCC, camps during the 1930s, including the Hillsborough River State Park. You can see the Florida Caverns State Park, the Highlands Hammock State Park, Olino State Park, Liberty County Torilla State Park, Mike Rose Goldhead Branch State Park, the Micah State Park, and Fort Clinch State Park. Fort Clinch, of course, is up here in Jacksonville. I'm gonna try to make it up there one of these days to visit that historical site. All right, so you can see it's very does smell like an old cabin. That's what I meant to say. It's a cabin. It's an old cabin. It smells old. It smells antique-like. But yeah, this is kind of where you'd probably fit a couple people in here. Soldiers. It's very, very dirty in here. But a lot of the soldiers would have houses like this back in the time of the Seminole Wars, where this is where they, of course, mostly sleep, other than not even working around the house, working around the forts. The women and children would stay home. Of course, the wife would clean, the kids would play or help if they're old enough, help their mom with the chores. They would clean, cook, and so on and so forth, while the men were out fighting in the Second Seminole War. And so what would happen would be the wife or the mother and the kids would stay here while the men served out with fighting in the war. But this is what the house would look like. Like very small, like I said, probably a couple people, one small family could fit in here. And you'd probably have like maybe a bed, couple beds, a wash tub or something over here. They didn't have electricity, so you could throw that out the window. But mostly, and then probably like a kid bed right here. Very small, but like I said, very dusty in here. Let's head out and go to our next. When we make our way over here, there's a couple of tombstones, grave sites, memory, and then we'll make our way over to that. The administration office? Probably not. But this right here, the Millennium Forest. I don't know if you can read that. I'll try to. Celebration of the 50th anniversary National Society of the Daughter of the American Revolution. Florida State Society planted at this Shea Penny Pine Forest. Compromise and commercial timber. Starting in 2002, the Florida State Society began protective this forest among the desolate of the penny pine using native trees and cypress typical of the habitat coat of the representation protecting to create a forest that would existed centuries ago. Okay. I could not read all that because some of the letters are faded out, but more or less basically it's not a tombstone, it's just a memory marker of 50 years of state parks. Of course, here's Penny Pine Forest planted by the Florida Society Daughters of the American Revolution, dedicated to posterity, 1940. This one here is the Florida Park Service, Environmental Protection. In memory of Paul E. Allen, Assistant Park Manager serving FPS of 1980 to 2004. This bench is in memory of him. We have made it to parking lot number 2, River Rapids Nature Trail. So we're going to go check out the rapids, the nature trail. Let's roll on here. Be shaded. So here is the Rapids Nature Trail. One of the oldest parks in Florida. Beautiful outcroppings of Swanee limestone civilian of the CCC. Developed this along with 7 other state parks in early 1930s. Rapids Nature Trail boasts views of the Hillsborough River, which includes a Blackwater Stream as well as hardwood hammock, cypress swamp plant, and animal community. Whether you want to walk 20 minutes, 2 hours, or somewhere in between, this trail provides the options for you to tailor. Make the nature walk that is right for you. This 1.5-mile loop trail provides a leisurely walk on terrain that is relatively flat. Several boardwalks overlook benches and even a small pavilion to sit and enjoy the scenery for a while. So there's the 1/2-mile loop. That's where we're going to go. The suspension bridge is right there. So we're gonna make that loop, and then there's the shelter. We are here. Oh wow, that is a long way. Please stay on the trails. Please do not feed or attempt to touch the animals. If you see an animal needing assistance, call the park office immediately. This is a footpath only. Both bicycles, no. Swimming in the river is not permitted. Pets are permitted. Florida State Parks managed to appear as altered by people, all plant and animal life as well as cultural time. Okay. So this is a half mile loop. Let's roll. Yeah, we got our first bird on the trail. The common raptor can be seen soaring in circles high in the air. It sports broad wings and a tail marked with narrow white bands, usually associated with wetland areas. It feeds on frogs, snakes, mice, and sometimes young birds. The red-shouldered hawk. We have made it to the Hillsborough River. You can see some of the rapids cruising along here. Nature, quiet out here. See the river. Through there. Cannot go in the river, of course, because of the current. Current moves very swiftly. Cannot be stopped. Also a little watering hole down here. This little area top of the trees that goes in all sorts of directions. Got a little bit of a wake over there. Alright, it says to go this way. So we'll press on. Check this out. Off the beaten path. Just these little like stalagmites kind of thing. Where you have just these different God-made art. I mean, that's basically what I can describe this as. God's artwork. Mosquito away. There we go. Mosquito landed on my camera phone. Look at this. Looks like it's eating my bugs out here, but oh well. Fascinating. So, these little God-made artwork here, the trees, kind of looks like stalagmites that you would find in caves, but it's just, they're just God-made tree stumps, part of a tree. This tree right here is cut open. Made it look like a little cave here, a little hideaway. But these mosquitoes are absolutely horrible, and I'm getting eaten alive. But fun to come and check this out, especially with the stalagmites, God's artwork. Fascinating. All right, U.S. Geological Survey Stream Caging Station, Hillsborough River. We have made it to the suspension bridge, Rapids Nature Trail. We've made it to the bridge, and so what we're gonna do, we're gonna keep going here. We're gonna go across the suspension bridge. Take a look. So let's take a look at the suspension bridge. Watch for the low-hanging tree branch. Ooh. I even have to duck. Usually I don't have to duck for very many places. Whoa. Yep. It bounces. It bounces a little bit. I'm kind of in the middle of the bridge right now. It's bouncing. There we go. So, another suspension bridge founded in Hillsborough River State Park. We press on, cross the bridge, onto the other side. We'll take pictures from the other side. So we make our way down the stairs. Well, a lot of stairs, wow. But also come to the Banner Trail or the Seminole Trail primitive camp. Let's go toward the camp. Just to get a glimpse of kind of a POV of what I'm walking over, what I'm walking towards, and what I'm walking on. We are on the Seminole Preservation Trail, camping trail, and so hopefully we come upon some sort of artifacts. So we make our way through the state park of Hillsborough River. We just crossed over the suspension bridge. It's one of the things I wanted to see. I saw it, and like I said, it was a like a normal bridge. Of course, suspension bridges I kind of like because of their structure and their historical reasoning, historical site. So, but right now we are continuing on this trail, the Seminole Preserve camping trail. Nothing really to see right now other than miles of walking, feels like. But it's very nice though because the sun kind of went behind the clouds and it's not and it's cooler when you're in the woods because of the trees give you shade. We're on an old rickety bridge here. Careful where you step. Oh. So, there we go. I have no idea where we're going, but it's none of the fun of it. Other than being eaten alive by mosquitoes, which is what is happening. Oh my goodness, I about fell. Stupid tree branch stubbed my toe. Alright, decided to take a little break here. Been walking, feels like for hours, but it's only been about an hour and a half I've been walking, so, and there's a storm brewing, so I'm going to try to get back on the main trail and head back towards my car, and we'll drive the rest of the way up to the swimming pool, and there was something else, but anyway, right now I'm actually inside the smokehouse, which was preserved back in the early 1800s. Sorry, mosquitoes are everywhere. In the early 1800s, or late 1800s, I meant, the 1830s, 40s, and so, yeah. So here's the smokehouse. This is the grill right here, or where they would actually make the food, and is still used to this day as a for barbecues, cookouts, all that kind of fun stuff. Big gatherings. It could be a family reunion, a church group, wherever and whoever. come here sometimes to have a picnic, cookout, whatever. Just have a fun time here at Hillsborough River State Park. And so, more or less, let's keep moving along so we can get back to on the trail. All right, so after a lengthy and strenuous walking on the trails, it's we've made it to our final destination on the park map. Pavilion number 4, or parking lot number 4. The pool is closed for some reason because it is like 97 degrees outside. But as you can see, the pool is green and empty, which is odd. So, let's see why the pool is closed. Inside the gift shop. Alright, so I'm in the gift shopping pool cafe, and they have some like these postcards of Fort Foster. There's different postcards here. One of the actual fort, and one of a Union soldier general. And then, I think that's wrong. Yeah. And then, right here, just the Hillsborough River. And the Ybor City Museum State Park. Patch. They got some shirts here. Some ponchos. Playing cards. Inflatable pillow. Some charcoal for grilling out. These are just some camping snacks and utility items that you'll need on your trip, camping trip here at Hillsborough. That's about it. And then of course they got the life is best when you're camping. Hillsborough River State Park. The adventure capital. On the back it's got family camping. Adventure begins here. Alright. So just overall a very fun experience here at the Hillsborough River State Park. Thank you all for joining me here. And we will, oh, sorry, I'm just tired. Walking a long ways around the nature trail. And, but anyway, thank you all for joining me here on this SpenVenture around Hillsborough River State Park, outside of Zephyr Hills. And so, tomorrow we begin our journey eastward toward the Atlantic side into Palm Coast, and we will make stops along the way. Gonna do a couple SpenVentures tomorrow, minor little stops in Orlando, and then before we head northward. But thank you all for joining me, and we will see you all on the next SpenVenture.